Ever wondered how you'd fare in the wilderness for 24 hours without a single piece of tech? Today, we're stepping away from the comfort of our screens, the convenience of our gadgets, and the predictability of our routines. We're venturing into the wild, a place where nature reigns supreme. It's a remote location, miles away from the nearest convenience store or cell tower. We're swapping our digital maps for the stars, our instant meals for whatever nature provides, and our cozy beds for whatever shelter we can muster. Why are we doing this? Well, it's a challenge, but it's more than just a test of endurance. It's an exploration of the human spirit and our ability to adapt, to survive, and to thrive. We're going to see how we measure up when we're stripped of technology, that comforting veil of modernity that often shields us from the raw elements of nature. The potential difficulties are numerous. Without tech, we lose our easy access to communication, information, and navigation. We'll have to rely on our instincts, our knowledge, and the basic survival skills we've learned. Survival skills like fire starting, shelter building, and foraging for food aren't just things you see on survival reality shows. They are real, practical skills that could save your life in a pinch. And it's not just about the physical skills. Mental toughness, resourcefulness, and a positive attitude can make the difference between thriving and merely surviving. We're going to explore all of this and more in the next 24 hours, and we're going to do it together. But remember, while we're doing this for entertainment and education, the wilderness is not a playground. It demands respect. It can be unpredictable, unforgiving, and incredibly challenging. But it can also be beautiful, enlightening, and incredibly rewarding. As the sun rises, our 24 hours of survival begins. Ready or not, here comes the wilderness. First things first, shelter. Mother Nature is unpredictable and we need protection. Now, survival is not about being the fittest, quickest, or the strongest. It's about being the smartest and making the right decisions. Shelter is paramount, shielding us from the elements, keeping us warm and dry, and offering a safe space to rest and recover. The location of our shelter is crucial. We're looking for a place that's elevated and dry, close to resources but hidden from potential threats. A good shelter location is like a secret fort we used to dream about as kids, but with real-life stakes. Once we've found the perfect spot, it's time to collect resources. We're going for natural materials that the forest generously offers. Fallen branches, leaves, and stones are our building blocks. We're not just surviving here, we're thriving by using what Mother Nature provides. Building the shelter is like piecing together a puzzle. The skeleton of the shelter is made from the sturdiest branches, forming a frame that's as tough as nails. The smaller branches and leaves act as a blanket, offering insulation against the cold. Stones become our tools, helping us secure the structure and make it as sturdy as possible. This process may seem tedious, but it's a game of patience and precision. We're in a dance with nature, learning its rhythm, understanding its quirks, and using them to our advantage. Every stone placed, every branch adjusted, brings us one step closer to a safe haven in the wild. As we work, we're constantly reminded of our vulnerability. The rustling leaves, the distant calls of the wild, they serve as reminders that we're guests in this vast wilderness. And as guests, we must respect our host. Building a shelter is not just about survival. It's about understanding our place in the natural world, developing a deeper connection with the environment, and experiencing a sense of accomplishment that can't be matched. As dusk falls, our shelter stands as our first victory against the wilderness. Next up is fire. It's not just about warmth, it's about signaling, cooking, and morale. Fire, the primordial element, has been mankind's companion since the dawn of time. But in a world where a flick of a switch or a push of a button does the job, starting a fire without matches or lighters is a skill that's often overlooked. So, how do we go about it? There are several methods, but today we'll delve into two: the hand drill and the fire plow. The hand drill method is as old as humanity itself. You need a spindle or a straight stick and a fireboard, a flat piece of wood. Place the spindle into a small depression on the fireboard and start spinning it between your palms, moving them quickly up and down the spindle. It's a test of endurance and patience, but the friction eventually produces a hot ember. The fire plow method is a bit different. You need a long, flat piece of wood and a stick. Carve a groove into the wood, then rub the stick up and down the groove. The friction produces heat, and with enough persistence, an ember. Both methods are laborious, and believe me, the blisters are real. But there's a certain satisfaction in coaxing a flame from mere sticks and effort. Of course, we encountered difficulties. The wood was damp, the wind was capricious, but we persevered. We found drier wood, shielded our fire-starting efforts from the wind, and when that first wisp of smoke curled up, it was like a victory flag. Then, coaxing that ember into a flame, nurturing it with tinder and kindling until it roared into a full-fledged fire, that was a triumph. Fire is a tangible symbol of survival. It wards off the cold, cooks our food, signals for help, and keeps predators at bay. But more than that, it's a beacon of hope, a rallying point. It boosts morale, reminding us that we can thrive, not just survive. With a crackling fire, our spirits lift, but the wilderness isn't done with us yet. Water, it's essential, but in the wild, it can be a double-edged sword. Imagine yourself in a vast green wilderness, miles away from civilization. You're parched, your throat is dry, and all you can think about is a gulp of cool, refreshing water. But where do you find this life-sustaining liquid in the heart of nature? First things first, you need to locate a water source. This could be a brook, a river, or even a puddle. You'd be surprised how often you can find water in the most unexpected places. A tip to remember, water flows downhill, so if you're stuck on a mountain, follow the slope down and you're likely to find a stream or a lake. Now, here comes the tricky part. Not all water is safe to drink. Even the clearest, most inviting stream can be teeming with harmful bacteria, parasites, or viruses. Drinking untreated water can lead to illnesses, and that's the last thing you need when you're trying to survive in the wild. So, how do you make this water safe to drink? One of the most primitive yet effective methods is boiling. All you need is a fire and a container. You could use a hollowed-out rock or a bamboo tube. Boil the water for at least 10 minutes and voila, you've got yourself safe drinking water. But what if you can't start a fire? Well, that's where the sun comes in. Using a clear plastic bottle, you can harness the power of the sun to disinfect your water. Just fill the bottle with water and leave it in direct sunlight for a few hours. The ultraviolet rays will kill most of the harmful organisms. Remember, in the wild, staying hydrated is crucial for survival. But it's equally important to ensure that the water you're drinking is safe. With water secured, we're one step closer to making it through these 24 hours. Our stomachs growl. It's time to turn our attention to food. In the wild, food doesn't come neatly packaged or conveniently cooked. It's a game of knowledge, observation, and sometimes just plain luck. Foraging for food is an essential survival skill, a dance between the eater and the eaten, where knowing what's safe to eat can mean the difference between life and death. The wilderness can be a veritable buffet if you know where to look. For instance, many plants can be a good source of nutrition. Leaves, roots, seeds, berries, nuts. Nature's bounty is vast and varied. But here's the catch. Not all of them are safe to eat. Some plants can be toxic or even deadly. So it's crucial to be able to identify what's edible and what's not. Knowledge of local flora can be a lifesaver, but plants aren't the only option on the menu. Insects can be a surprisingly nutritious source of food. Now I know what you're thinking. Insects, really? But consider this, they're high in protein, readily available, and require less energy to catch than larger animals. Once you get past the ick factor, insects can be a real lifesaver. Foraging isn't just about picking up whatever you find, it's a strategic process. Look for areas where plants are abundant. They're likely to attract insects, thereby providing a two-in-one food source. But remember, always double-check before you eat anything. If you're unsure, it's better to go hungry than to risk poisoning. It's also important to remember that while foraging can provide much-needed sustenance, it's not always sustainable in the long run. So use it as a short-term solution while you figure out how to hunt or fish if necessary. And finally, always respect the environment. Take only what you need and leave no trace behind. Our meal might not win any culinary awards, but in the wilderness, it's a feast. Without a compass or GPS, navigation becomes a true test of our survival skills. Now, in an era of high-tech gadgets, we might feel a bit lost without our trusty technology. But fear not, the natural world around us has its own ways of guiding us. Let's delve into some of these age-old methods. Let's start with the sun. From dawn till dusk, the sun is a reliable guide. It rises in the east and sets in the west, so by observing its path across the sky, we can get a basic sense of direction. But remember, the sun's path can change slightly with the seasons, so it's not an exact science. Next, let's look to the night sky. For centuries, seafarers and explorers have used the stars to navigate. The North Star, or Polaris for instance, is a constant presence in the northern hemisphere, always pointing the way north. Find the Big Dipper constellation, follow the edge of its bowl upwards, and there you have it, the North Star. Natural landmarks are also crucial. Tall trees, mountains, and rivers can serve as reference points to help us orient ourselves. It's essential to keep track of these landmarks as we move, to avoid getting turned around. Speaking of avoiding getting turned around, it's vital to keep a keen sense of your surroundings. It's easy to get disoriented in the wilderness, especially when everything starts to look the same. Don't rush. Take your time to observe and understand your environment. Avoid following animal trails, as they can lead you astray. Lastly, remember to trust your instincts. Our ancestors navigated vast landscapes without the help of any technology. They relied on their instincts, honed through years of living closely with nature. So listen to that inner voice. It might just lead you home. In the wilderness, every step counts, and we've just made it through another few. As night descends, the wilderness presents a whole new set of challenges. The setting sun brings with it a blanket of darkness that drapes over the wilderness, transforming the familiar landscape into an uncharted territory. It's an eerie feeling, being alone in the dark, surrounded by the unknown. Yet, it's a part of the challenge we've embraced. The first obstacle that nightfall presents is maintaining the fire. The fire we kindled earlier, our beacon of warmth and safety, becomes a demanding entity. It requires constant attention, feeding it with wood and leaves, ensuring it doesn't die out. The darkness amplifies the importance of this fire. It's not just about warmth now, but also about visibility and keeping the wild animals at bay. Speaking of wild animals, the night awakens a different set of inhabitants in the wilderness. The nocturnal creatures, hidden during the day, now begin their daily routines. The rustling of leaves, the snapping of twigs, the distant hoots and howls, they all contribute to the symphony of the night. It's fascinating, yet alarming. You're never quite sure what's lurking in the shadows. And then there are the unexpected challenges, like that sudden downpour around midnight. The rain, while a blessing during the day, becomes a bane at night. It threatens our fire and soaks our shelter. We scramble to protect what we can, using large leaves as makeshift umbrellas, trying to keep the fire alive. It's a frantic dance with nature, one that tests our endurance and adaptability. The night also brings with it an acute sense of isolation. The darkness, the sounds, the solitude, they all seem to conspire to make you feel alone. It's a mental challenge as much as it is a physical one, but we remind ourselves that it's only for a night, that the dawn will bring with it new hope and renewed energy. As we sit there, huddled by the fire, listening to the night, we realize that the wilderness is not just about survival, it's about understanding and respecting nature, about adapting and learning. Each rustle, each howl, each drop of rain, they all have a lesson to teach us. We're not just surviving the night, we're living it. We're a part of this vast wilderness, a tiny speck in the grand scheme of things. And as daunting as it may seem, there's a strange sense of comfort in that realization. The night is indeed long, full of surprises and unexpected challenges. From maintaining the fire to dealing with nocturnal wildlife, from sudden downpours to the intense feeling of isolation, it's a constant test of our resolve. But we're not giving up. We're not just surviving, we're thriving. We're learning, adapting, growing. The night is long and full of surprises, but we're not giving up. The first rays of sunlight bring relief and the realization we've almost made it. As dawn broke, the wilderness that once seemed so menacing now radiated a tranquil beauty. The final hours of our challenge were upon us, and with it came a renewed sense of determination. The night had been a test of endurance, but the morning was a testament to our resilience. In the stillness of the early hours, we faced the last hurdles of our adventure. The weariness was palpable, but so was the resolve. Every step was a victory, every breath a reminder of our journey. As the wilderness woke up around us, we faced the unexpected once more. A sudden downpour left us drenched and cold, but it didn't dampen our spirits. Instead, it became a part of our story, a chapter of triumph in the face of adversity. The sun, a silent witness to our struggle, began to climb the sky. Its warm rays seemed to breathe new life into us, driving away the remnants of the night's chill. The golden light painted a masterpiece on the canvas of the wilderness, transforming the landscape into a realm of possibility. We took a moment to bask in the sunrise, to let the beauty of the moment wash over us. It was a reminder that every dawn brings a new beginning, an opportunity for growth and discovery. As the final hour ticked away, we realized that this challenge was more than just a test of survival. It was an exploration of our limits, a journey of self-discovery. The wilderness had been our unforgiving teacher, but it had also been our guide, leading us to understand the strength within us. The dawn marked the end of our challenge. We stood at the edge of the wilderness, looking back at the path we had carved. It was a path of perseverance, of courage, of resilience. We had faced the wilderness and emerged stronger, wiser. With the dawn, we've done it. We've survived 24 hours in the wilderness with no tech. Surviving in the wilderness with no tech isn't just about making it through 24 hours. It's about digging deep, finding your strength, and discovering that the human spirit is the most advanced technology we have. This challenge has been a journey of self-discovery. I have found that the wilderness is not just about the physical landscape, but it's also a place that tests your mental and emotional resilience. The solitude, the silence, the unknown, it all comes together to push you beyond your comfort zone. The difficulties faced have been manifold, from the initial struggle of finding shelter and starting a fire, to procuring water and foraging for food. Every task was a test of patience and perseverance. There were moments of doubt, of frustration, even of fear. But each hurdle overcome was a victory, a testament to the human will to survive and thrive. Creating a shelter from scratch was a lesson in resourcefulness and a reminder that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. Starting a fire was a lesson in patience, proving that it's not about how quickly you can achieve something, but about the effort you're willing to put in. Procuring water and foraging for food were lessons in adaptability, showing that nature provides, but we must be willing to adjust and make do with what's available. Navigating without tech was perhaps the most challenging. It was a lesson in trust. Trust in oneself, trust in one's instincts, and trust in the natural world. It was a reminder that before the advent of technology, humans survived using their knowledge of the stars, the sun, and the landscape around them. The night brought its own set of challenges, but it also brought a sense of calm, a quietude that allowed for introspection. It was a reminder that even in the midst of struggle, there is beauty to be found, moments of peace to be cherished. As dawn broke on the final hours, there was a sense of accomplishment, of satisfaction. Not just because the challenge was nearing its end, but because of the journey, the lessons learned, the personal growth experienced. This challenge has been an exploration of not just the wilderness, but of the self. It has shown that the human spirit is indomitable, that we are capable of adapting, of learning, of overcoming. It has been a reminder that we are a part of this natural world, not apart from it. Remember, survival is not just about getting through a situation. It's about learning, adapting, and growing from it. It's about finding strength in adversity and courage in the face of fear. Every challenge teaches us something, and this one has shown us that we are capable of more than we ever imagined. We've faced the wilderness and lived to tell the tale. But what about you? Do you feel the thrill of the wild coursing through your veins, just waiting for a chance to test your mettle? Have you ever tried to kindle a fire with just twigs and sheer determination, or navigate through an unmarked forest with only the sun as your compass? Well, if you have, we'd love to hear about it. Share your stories, your tips, your triumphs, and even your failures. There's no teacher like experience, and every shared story is a lesson for someone else. So, don't hold back. Let us in on your wilderness secrets. How did you find water in a desert landscape? What's your trick for building an impromptu shelter? How do you keep your spirits up when the elements are against you? And if you haven't yet taken on nature's challenge, don't worry. There's always a first time. We'd love to hear about the challenges you'd like to see us take on next. Maybe it's surviving in the tundra or navigating a dense jungle. Whatever it is, let us know. We're always up for a new adventure. We want to thank you for joining us on this journey. Your support makes every challenge worth it. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Every click brings us one step closer to our next adventure. And remember, you don't need to be a seasoned survivalist to enjoy the thrill of the wild. With a bit of knowledge, a lot of courage, and an unyielding spirit, you can face any challenge the wilderness throws at you. So until the next challenge, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing your limits. Because as we've learned today, the wilderness is tough, but so are you. Until the next challenge, remember, the wilderness is tough, but so are you.